Okay.
discuss each part. The first one is, speaking about the selective ADA accommodations for Miss Louise at the bus shop.
Yes.
So you say that, despite her decades of service and her current status as a wheelchair-bound amputee, she has been moved to a less accessible office at the middle school. So I spoke with Mr. Jones, and I spoke with Sean Goolsby, and I spoke with, you know who Mr. Goolsby is, right?
I don't.
He's over all our facilities, and
Is he maintenance?
Well, he's like the deputy superintendent over operations.
Oh, well,
in the
then I don't
district.
know him.
Okay.
I know the name. I've heard the name,
Yes.
but I don't know that I know the face.
So basically, this particular area, they have looked into, the building is more than just her bathroom area, because you mentioned something about a bathroom in here.
Well, that's the excuse they gave us. That, I mean, when we say why, because she moved all of her stuff back there at one time.
Well, according to them, the whole building has to be ADA brought to code, and it's not, the building's so old. Now, I don't know all the specifics of it, but they've told me that they've already looked into it and tried to bring it up to code to meet the needs of anyone, not just her. And that's the reason that they put her at the middle school, was that all of the handicapped accessible things were there.
Well, not really, because when she has to go to the bathroom, she has to go out of that office, down a hall, and around to go to the bathroom. So her room.
That is literally from here. I only know that because I've been there and talked to her.
It's not that
literally
far.
from here to maybe the end of this room.
But you got to take in consideration she's trying to negotiate all that in a chair, in a wheelchair. So, but that I understand.
I just want you to know that that has been looked in at from the district. It wasn't just because. Then it goes into favoritism of Janice, and basically,
I have a statement pertaining to that.
Okay.
This is from the meeting.
January 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Speeding, stopping, a stop sign.
These are all my notes from.
Okay. Okay, so you're saying that because somebody took a picture of Mr. Jones, Mr. McMurphy, Billy, and Janice standing in the parking lot.
How many places do you know that confer with just one employee?
Do you know that they were conferring her?
Yes.
Or did she just walk up on them having that conversation?
They walked out there with her, and you see where my bus is parked.
Is this your bus right
That's
there?
my bus right there, and she's parked up. And at one time when she was parking kind of in the middle of that little spot there was room for two buses, but she complained about that. So, but
why don't all the I know there's parking like down here, like on this side of the building.
Mm-hmm.
Why do all the buses not park here? Why is any bus allowed up here?
Those buses, that area there, has always been, and I worked full-time in 79 and first part of 80, and there were no personal vehicles allowed in that fence.
Mm-hmm. This fence over here?
Mm-hmm. And any of it.
Okay.
They had an area, well, I take that back. They had an area inside the fence against the fence. then they moved the parking area outside the fence, and that was when nobody was allowed inside unless they were going to leave their vehicle overnight, and they could move, they could park inside the fence.
And you're calling inside the fence in this area?
That's
or that little
the whole yard
area outside?
The whole yard is fenced in with chain link fence. But now, there is this right here, okay, this area right here is where we would pull up. And that was reserved basically for people who take their buses home but had to leave their buses at the shop for maintenance, or maybe they had to go in the shop for business or something. They parked there out of, because the bus line is over here. You can see that.
Right.
You can see it in this mirror. It didn't take real good, but you can see that the buses are lined there. And Janice and Clint, this area over here was reserved when Mr. Davis was there. And somehow they let that get away from him after he left. But anyway, this area over here in front of the maintenance shed was for the bigger buses. If they had to leave 2 or 3, they couldn't all park here. Mm-hmm. And so they would pull up over there, and they'd be available, for maintenance, whatever. But at any rate, this bus line back here, the drivers that leave their bus on the yard, they have certain places they pull in, and it's not that their name is on it, but you kind of respect that that's where they park every day.
I was about to say, do they have sign parking?
No. Well, it's like I say.
Might be one of my recommendations.
Well, hey, that would be wonderful. But now this over here, when I look at this, I look at it backwards. Over here, out of sight here, this fence goes around and like this.
Yeah.
Well,
to me, it would be that's where all the employees park their personal vehicles, unless it's a handicap.
there has never, I don't care what anyone says to you, there has never been a handicap parking space inside that fence. Not since '79.
Well, one of the statements I have.
Yeah,
Look,
I heard someone say that the only thing that they would let.
Mr. Jones says it's his understanding that the area was previously marked for handicapped as evidenced by the blue paint that was still visible on the pavement at the bus shop.
No, that whoever's saying that's just not telling the truth.
Okay.
But that area behind it's beside the maintenance shop. I mean, that little maintenance shed there. It's a grassy area, but
Right here.
no. That area is going to be. These cars you see here on the outside of the fence in the parking area.
Yeah, I drove over there to look and see. So
I don't think, but no, I don't have that. Anyway, Janice and Clint have started parking their buses in that area, and I don't have any idea when that started. And I guess whoever was the supervisor, it was okay with, because there was room for like 1 or 2 buses.
This is behind the building, right?
That's in front of the building there on the side. Now, at one time, she was parking there where Mary Jo's car is.
Which one's
that
Mary
one?
Jo's?
That one. And then another time she was parking out there behind her bus and that's where I just asked Chad, can you see if Janice won't park back out there by that fence? It's closer to her bus. And it's out of the way, and there are other people that park on down on the other side of the maintenance shed that they're a little bit closer to their bus. They can't get right up to their buses, but they can park
Was this
closer.
picture taken after the lines moved down?
Yeah, and I ran out of coloring. you could see it better if it was in color, but that was another thing. They fixed it so that no, absolutely only 2 people can park there, and they did that by putting at least a car length in front and a car length behind, and one kind of, I don't know how wide the one in the middle is, but it's like they wanted to make sure that there was only those vehicles in there. But, all of that, I feel like could have been avoided if Chad had spoke to her. And
Spoke to who?
Janice, about parking back over there where she had been parking.
Well, y'all have 3 people at this shop that have handicap placards. There needs to be handicap parking anyway, so it's going to be kind of like going to Walmart. It's first come, first serve as to who gets them, why they weren't. I mean, I'm going to definitely find out, the issue with the parking.
Where they put that. Just the other day, Thursday afternoon, one of the regular buses pulled in there.
On the handicaps?
No,
Oh, okay.
She stopped just short because I guess she realized she couldn't pull up in there. She stopped just short, and I ain't sitting here if another bus wheeled in there and almost hit her. Almost hit the rear end of her bus, and she was just she parked there to run in and clock out. Is what she done. And a lot of us do that, If we're not going to be in there but a second long enough to clock in and clock out, we park usually in front of the building, but, there are times.
So you're not leaving your bus there?
Not since they put that. You mean overnight?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, if she's going to clock out, then why don't she just go park her bus where it needs to be and then go clock out and get in your car?
You're talking about the lady that pulled up there? Because she takes her bus home.
Okay.
And that's where that other side on the other, around the maintenance was for. It wasn't for buses that stay at the shop. It was for buses that people take home, and they have to come back for leave their bus there for maintenance or whatever. But the handicap parking, I don't have a problem with that. I didn't have a problem with it when they done it. I just kept waiting for them to give us an alternative, and they never did.
What, give you an alternative to what?
To
Do you
park
have a handicap park?
No, for a place to put our bus when we have to go in the shop. If we park out front, we block people that are just pulling through, more or less. And with us taken our buses home, there's no reason we never have, and I don't know why we would have to start now because somebody decided to take our parking place. If we parked on the yard, on the bus line, we'd have to park way out here to be out of the way.
Mm-hmm. So it's convenience then?
No, not really. It's not, I could do it, but why should I have to if I'm only going to be in the shop 5 minutes or 10 minutes?
So could you... I'm going to draw a diagram. Okay, so here's the building.
Yeah.
All right. This is where buses normally park behind the building.
That's the bus line, yes.
Okay. This is the handicap spark and handicap. Okay. And then right here is a fence. This is, I'm gonna call it employee parking. I don't know what else to call it.
Yes.
And then over here is your gas.
Yes.
Okay.
And we have one driver that he pulls in there and parks because that's the only place he can park, and if he's just gonna go in the shop for a minute.
Okay, so it looks like to me
Okay, finish your thing here
That,
and
well,
we'll get a picture.
it looks like to me that this, I know when I went out there to look, this was the entrance here. That was the in,
yeah.
and this was the out. Y'all had,
Okay,
so
now
the traffic should flow this way.
The maintenance shed is right in here,
Okay,
and this fence comes like this. It comes here and makes a square, yeah. And this area here at one time was reserved for buses that have to be left. This spot here was always used as kind of a pull-in for buses, the longer buses. And of course, I left the handicap buses could leave their buses there for maintenance. But this area here was always cleared, and there was plenty of room there. You can actually get safely about 3 long buses, or maybe 1 bus and 2 short ones. But this goes through here and around, it curves around, so if you park out here, you're going to be in the way. You're going to be in the traffic, and of course this way goes around.
okay, so you come in
That's how the buses
and
come
park.
in.
Okay,
And of course, this lane here is the one that goes around to the gas, so they don't want us parking there because we're blocking traffic that might have to go to the gas. This, if you park here, you go way out here and turn in and come back in. Well, they were parking at one time. She was parking because her bus, she parks it about right there because Clint's usually by the fence, but she was parking back here against the fence.
her personal vehicle.
Yes.
Okay.
And Thelma and Elizabeth and Miss Warren were parking over here. Of course, Miss Warren's not there this year, but, they were out of the way. They were close to their buses, and, there was just didn't create any problems, I'll put it like that, as far as traffic goes. And, but...
See, to me, no personal vehicles should be in this area right here.
And
Except for your handicap, which that is required, as you know. So if it hadn't been there in the past, it should have been, and now it is. And
yeah,
our handicap placard folks are going to be able to park right there. However, if you took the personal cars out of this space and they park here,
there are none there right now.
Well, the other day when I drove over there to just put eyes on this place, there was a bus parked right here and a car back here. And that was, let's see, either last week or the week before. I can't remember what.
Well, now sometimes Montel, when she's going to leave her car overnight, she'll park over there next to that fence beside the maintenance.
Why does she have to leave her car overnight?
Well, she takes her bus home, but if she's got like an appointment, and most of her appointments are out of town, but anyway, usually for that reason, she'll get her husband to bring her the car in and leave it for her. But I don't know what their arrangement is. I just know that sometimes she leaves her car inside the fence. But we were hoping that they would, eventually realize that those handicapped spaces had actually taken, even though we didn't do it every day, when we needed it, it was there. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have to get in anybody's way. We just pulled up there and we were able to take care of our business and leave. But no one ever said anything.
It almost seems like to me that this needs to be the temporary parking right here of the bus so you can go in the building.
That's where it was before.
Therefore, no cars are there. So
that's where it was before. It was right there in front of that maintenance. I think they keep. Maybe a tractor over there or another vehicle, a maintenance vehicle. I really haven't paid that much attention to what the shed's being used for. But anyway, it's not in. You're
saying there's no place for you to park your bus to be able to go in and clock out.
Well, there is if I want to walk half the yard to get inside for 5 minutes.
That means you'd have to park back here.
In the area where they keep the sub buses.
Okay, so then you say,
Again, those are just the notes I've had typed up for.
well, it gives me the whole picture. It
Yeah.
helps me fill in the gaps. I like
Yeah,
to say
it's
it
better
that
than
way.
trying to figure out my writing.
Yes, so,
This is the thing we went over at the meeting.
this is, that is.
This is. And I suppose because Chad told me that he would address the parking at the meeting. And
This was at the PD meeting?
yes,
Y'all's topics?
and it's all the same. We sat in there 3.5 hours to hear the same stuff over and over and over and over that they're not going to correct unless it's a certain people. And I hate to say that, but yes, they do have favorites. They have some.
They being who?
The administration, Mr. Jones, Chad, Billy, you know, there's just some folks they have created. I suppose you would call it friendships, maybe. I don't have any friends outside I have friends that I work with, but we don't, you know, we're not friends on the street.
Right.
But anyway, they're not going to, and they even called some of us snitches in that meeting, which was kind of insulting. And of course, we have made up our mind.
Let me ask you something. In that meeting you're referencing, hold on. Okay, so supposedly in this meeting, if you're
This
referencing
is
the
this,
same meeting,
yeah, this same meeting.
it was said that you made a comment out loud. Hold on, let me find what it said.
Yeah, when she replied to this, when he was talking about this, he was telling us where to park and everything, you know, not block gates, and there was a designated area that we would park in.
Mm-hmm.
That's when she made that statement. I'm going to park where I'm parking or where I want to park as long as I work here.
She said that out loud?
Yes, and I said entitled, and she repeated it, and then everybody kind of repeated it. But the driver in front of us, he turned around and looked at us like.
Janice seems to think that you and Jean are moving you're parking in her space, which on purpose.
Well, yeah, we kind of were, because that was our space to park. So, she moved into our space though. That's what no one.
So Janice moved into your space.
Yeah, that's what no one seems to pay attention to. But there again, to be honest with you, Miss Davis, I'm at the point of saying we're working in a kindergarten here, so we might as well just go ahead and do the best we can with what we got to do with, and if we can solve our problems, solve them, but don't take them to anybody that we expect to help, because we're not going to get any. And I'm not kidding you, I'm honest about this. Chad and Mr. Jones seems to be totally preoccupied with Janice, and I don't know why. Nobody there, we're all bus drivers.
Right.
And we all pretty much conduct ourselves as bus drivers, you know. And some of us come and go, some of us sit and talk a minute, but for the most part, we're all hired to do the same job, and so that's what our focus should be on, is doing that job. I'm at a loss.
Okay, so I'm gonna just put some scenarios out here, because I really am trying to think, because I almost feel the same way you do, like, okay, you guys, we are grown women.
Absolutely.
And we are in this battle over parking spaces at our job that has basically consumed y'all's lives.
But we haven't been, because I told Jean when we seen that blue area parked there, I said, listen, that's not important. Her parking there is not what we're concerned with. That's not the important point here. The important point is, where are they going to put us now to park? I said, I don't care where she parks, as long as they do an alternative, in other words. They never did, and we
But
gave
the
them.
alternative is only for y'all when you're coming to clock in and out, right?
Well,
Because
not
any other time you don't have to park your bus there?
Yeah, well, if we're going.
You drive a sped bus, so you
Yeah.
have a shorter, that could very well go right here. Like, because to me, I'm thinking, okay,
And-
well, why aren't all the big buses out here and the short buses get parked right there?
Yeah, that would be a good idea. But when we have, and Fridays usually is when we save our time if we got paperwork going, because we both do the college runs too.
Yeah.
But we can't park up front, because we got these people running through, you know, and they're running in, checking out. And there has been a little conflict there, but they, you know, all we can do is tell them, hey, we're just going to be a few minutes, don't pull up behind us. But
Write myself a note so I can ask Forrest. Okay, so it almost seems like to me this is a no parking zone only, except for temporary parking.
yes, that's what
Nobody else is parking right there. You're out of the way of these handicap spots.
Yes.
You still got room for all the other buses to pull in and park. You still got the ability to get around and get gas if you needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming the front of the building is for visitors, or who parks up here?
Well, there are several employees that park up there now, and it's kind of just gotten out of hand. You know what I'm
It's
saying?
what it sounds like.
And but there hasn't been problems so far that I know of, and so I guess they just, you know, as long as don't fix it if it ain't broke. So, but they park over here in McKinney.
Who was your supervisor before Mr. Jones?
You mean the coordinator was Miss Simmons?
Is she retired? Who is she? I've never heard that name before.
Mona Simmons.
She was like in Forrest's position?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Billy was, Billy came after Wes. Wes Dunn was, Michael Hadley kind of filled in there between maybe Wes and Billy. But he was retired and he didn't want to take it on full time again, so he filled in. And then before Wes was Bill Mosley, and of course all of those just started down. I mean, but that's another thing now. I'm sure I put that in there. But training is so important. If you expect somebody to do a job that you want done right, and they come in fresh off the street, you kind of give them some guidelines and give them a boundary more or less, or creates a routine. And then if they get out of that, then counsel with them. But don't fix it where you're doing this job that covers the whole county, and you're doing this job too, by extension. And that's what's going on now with Chad.
What do you mean?
Chris would have made a good supervisor if they had just counseled with him, but they wouldn't. When we would bring issues to Mr. Jones about, you know, he had a mouth on him that would knock a...
Mr. Jones?
No.
Oh.
Chris.
Chris, okay.
But now he's not there anymore.
What was his last name?
Emmons.
Chris Emmons. Okay.
But what I'm saying is, he was amicable. He kind of got along with everybody. He just had that awful mouth on him. And two, then as he was, the new people came in, he got involved, and so that, we know where that went. Anyway, he would make a decision and try to, kind of include people. Jones would him or Billy would come right behind him and totally blow it out of the water, change everything. I mean, we have had, now this is last year, this is not this year.
Does that include in this grievance that you wrote? Are you referencing anything from last year?
Only the fact that they're not letting Chad be the supervisor. Okay. In other words, make decisions and stuff that are for us at the shop, not necessarily any of the other. Well, yeah, I guess Huxford would be under his purview. But, they would come along and undo everything, and if they start doing Chad that way, Chad's going to revert to just, hey, I'll just draw my check.
You say that'd be Billy and Jones, right?
Billy seems to be kind of trying to help a little bit from what I've observed there, but he's got his hands full now for real.
Who, Billy?
Yeah, he's the route coordinator. So that, that's a minute by minute thing almost.
I wouldn't want to do that.
Especially in Atmore, with it being a transient town.
Okay, so Janice feels like she's constantly being harassed.
And that's what I can't figure out. We don't talk to her. We avoid her.
Her harassment is... Okay, let me just highlight some things that I want to talk to you about and see what's going on. She says that you yelled at her saying that she was going to sit her black ass down.
When did I do that?
She didn't give me a time of day.
Well, no, she just flat lied, because I would not say that to her. I would not say that to anybody.
And
did you swear her in when she gave that statement?
I'm just reading notes. These are my notes off of what she wrote. So this isn't like I haven't met with her yet on the specifics, and put it that way. Okay, so she says that you refer to Janice using words as my black ass, and that the government needs to cut food stamps so blacks can get out and get a job.
Where is she getting this stuff?
She says that you've made reference, that you've said out loud to Jean that Janice's black ass has no business being here, and Jean agreed with you. Then that you're intentionally parking in her spot. She says...
that, I want to tell you something. That right there, those statements that she's making is defaming me. And I don't talk that way. Jean don't talk that way. And we don't see black and white. We see students, we see drivers, we see supervisors. They're neither black or white to us. And we treat them. And we try to treat everybody with respect, the way we want to be treated. And that's how you keep control of your children. You earn that respect through respecting them. And that is a lie. And if she actually gets that on record, I'm going to file a suit against her.
Yeah,
the whole time we were in that meeting, she was texting. So we just noticed that she wasn't paying attention. She was texting on some kind of tablet or something. But
apparently there was a lawsuit that she references. It says that this harassment started in April. She says it's been going on since April of 25.
We haven't really had any contact with her since then. But now by association, we were we were friends. I would say we were talking friends because we would get together at the.
You and Janice.
No.
You and
Janice, I'm going to be honest with you. Janice is self-centered, and she likes to talk about herself. And if you give her the time, she'll occupy an hour, 2 hours, just talking about herself and what she's done. And you learn that it don't take you long to learn that, hey, how to get out of here? How do I get away from it? So we avoid her, to be honest with you. And a lot of other people do too. They'll say,
she seems to think that you guys are harassing her because a lady by the name of
Elise.
Elise.
Okay. Yeah, that's where it's boiling back down to.
Wanted her to join a lawsuit, and that they needed her in it because she was black.
Now
And for racism against, because the board didn't dismiss Chris for doing whatever it was that he did.
Okay, now you're fixing to get to the root of stuff.
And they need her for everybody in order to get $100,000, and that you and Jean were a part of this as well.
I don't know what show she's been watching, but surely she didn't come up with all that by herself. Do you want to know what I know of it?
Please,
It's
just like
it's kind of like
it's
hearsay.
like a soap opera almost.
Absolutely. Elise, from what I know, we were in certification class the day all that altercation happened. But Elise was involved in, I don't even know how to describe that, but her and Chris got at each other. And he seemed to target her because she was, if it come up, it come out of Elise's mouth. I mean, she would say what was on her mind to whoever she was talking to. And that came about when Chris called, and this is it's an ugly word, but Chris called Jones and Billy the N-word, and Janice was there. He didn't call her that name. He said that name in front of her, and she took offense, I guess. Well, anybody would, because that's very inappropriate. But now this is coming from Janice. She went to the superintendent, and apparently she was told that if she's not happy here, maybe she needs transferred to one of the other, Flomaton or WSL. I didn't see the letter. She was passing it around, and a lot of people read it, so they knew what was in it, but I didn't see the letter, and she didn't. I just got the gist of what was in it. Well, that didn't sit well with Janice, that the superintendent didn't perk her ears up and take notice. And I think that's where they decided that because it's a soap opera. It's a soap opera. Jones didn't have the backbone to correct Chris and kind of keep him in line. Elise was being harassed, literally, on a day. By Chris, Jones, and Billy.
When you say harassed, what are you defining?
Well, if she took an issue to any of them, they would always kind of shut her down and kind of turn around on her. Well, she got so paranoid that she was afraid to even go to work. Because of the situation, they barred her from the shop and made her park her bus at the middle school, and she had to drive to the middle school every morning and get her bus. I don't know what the situation was with her clocking in. I never.
Was that like for her safety though? I mean,
maybe
the perspective of they did that as a punishment, but
it was more like a punishment to keep her and Chris from getting at each other. But that's really not what she was not that confrontational, you know. Like I say, if it come up, it come out. If she thought it, she said it. And granted, she needed to curb that a little bit, but Chris should have been more mature. First of all, he shouldn't have been doing things that caused people to talk, and that's when. But now, when they wouldn't do anything because of him using that word in her presence, and at
Well, when
least,
did you let go?
huh?
He's not here anymore.
No, he's gone. But now listen, this is what it's all about. She didn't get any satisfaction when she went to Burkett with Dr. Collier. Chris was out of hand, totally out of control. Nobody had any control over him. Okay, he was a problem. And Elise was a problem because Elise kept saying, hey, listen, he's saying off the wall things to me. And y'all want me to have meetings with just me and him and Jones in a minute. I don't feel safe doing that. I mean, it was just every day seemed like something.
Y'all couldn't reach out to HR? They wouldn't
We had three meetings, and all of this was
with Dr. Jones?
And Dr. Jones.
Yeah,
Dr. Jones
sure.
and Dr. Collier. And one time the other lady was there, I think, the one that was with the.
Miss Wilson?
I don't remember her name, but I believe she was. I believe I
The
recognized.
new assistant
Yeah,
superintendent.
I believe I recognized her. It might not have been her, but I believe it was. But anyway, this created something, and you know, when all this is going on, there's very little business actually being taken care of. But Jones wouldn't correct Emmons because I really believe he was afraid of him. But then the excuse he gave us was, I can't do nothing with him, you know, he's Billy's friend and he hired him, and I guess I can't.
How is that relevant?
Tell me. He's supposed to be he's supposed to be over our supervisor, actually. But
He couldn't do anything with Chris because he was Billy's friend?
that's what he would say to us. And he would agree with us that he had noticed some impropriety. I take a pill that just absolutely drives me up. Anyway, you know, that he was aware, but nothing was ever handled. To Billy's credit, I think Billy tried to rein him in, so to speak, but at that point, I don't think that he respected Billy as looking at him as any kind of superior. But if they had trained him properly, Chris, he would have been a good supervisor. He would have been rough around the edges, but I'm sure over time that would have been smoothed out. But they didn't handle things when they were.
And that's what you think's going on with Chad?
I know that Chad don't do anything unless he checks with Mr. Jones first. But all this ugly language, that's just a flat out lie.
Okay.
And the only interaction we have had, we would meet. Janice's route is over there where I pick up my little early release boy, and I was pulling into Monroe. I was hoping to train him to come across the yard, but invariably he'd run out the street. But I wasn't always out of the street when she would come through there, and she blew at me one day to move.
I did read something about that, where you were stopped like in an intersection sideways. Like
yeah,
this,
I turned into Monroe
to pick
Street.
up the kid, and then Mr. Jones said he followed up and said to.
He told me to pull up to her. Okay. Now, that would have been fun. We couldn't have passed. But he wanted me to pull straight into her and load my student and have that student walk between those two buses. And he was already a runner. So, I mean, I was pulling up on the side so that he would come across his yard and not, but invariably a couple of times he ran out into the street in front of a couple of cars. And if they hadn't seen him, well, I don't even want to think about that, but anyway. And when we got back to the shop, I told her, I said, we need to go talk to Mr. Jones. And she just walked on out. Mr. Jones, he said, I tell you the solution to that, just pull straight, which would have been, that would have really set her off, I reckon, because sometimes with little guys like that, you have to give them a few minutes to get themselves out there, but.
Okay, she also says that you yell at her and cursed at her in the bus shop, and that may have been referring to her black ass. I don't know. She says with Billy and Forrest in front of Pat Roland. Does that sound familiar?
Now that's when I did not yell at her. When she came in, I have never used ugly language in that shop to anybody.
Okay. Let's see, that's
That day, Pat was standing up there with me at the fan when she came in, and I said, "Hey, we need to go talk to Mr. Jones," because that was the day she blew her horn at me, and she just kept walking. So Mr. Jones was in there, and I went in there and told him, I said, "Listen here, we're both doing the same job here. If I'm loading the kids, she don't need to be sitting out there blowing at me."
Right.
Well, he didn't do anything about it. He told me to pull up in front of her. In other words, he didn't reprimand her and say, "Listen, we don't do that. If somebody's loading your patient, you certainly don't blow your horn at them."
Right.
But,
Okay, so she says that you and Jean have harassed her the entire school year. Everywhere I park, they both come and either park there or block me in.
Same parking space.
Okay.
Same parking space.
But you did say you intentionally started parking in her spot, right? You said that earlier.
Well, yeah, we were pulling up there. I mean, we were still doing what we had always been doing. And some days I could pull straight in. See, Mary Jo, I showed you where Mary Jo parks. I could pull straight in and be out of Mary Jo's way. Or I could back in and be out of her way. Either way, I wasn't thinking about Janice, to be honest with you.
But it really seems like the issue is the space and where the personal cars and like this whole parking situation needs to be readdressed. And
Yes,
we'll readdress that. So,
But
okay.
now, all that dressing up, that her statement that we've done this and we've said that, we have totally avoided. I'll take that back. The meeting back to school, August the 1st. I don't know why I was coming. I'm probably going to the bathroom. Anyway, I was coming out and she was coming in. She said, "Miss Alva, how was your summer?" I said, "Fine." And I just kept going. I didn't even look at her. I did not stop. I did not look at her. I kept going. I ignored her, basically. I'm not usually that rude, but I don't engage people who are troublemakers. And I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to say that.
But you didn't engage with her.
No, not at all. And that's the only time this school year that I spoke to her, except for, well, now, you know that when she blew her horn at me, I think that was last year.
It could have been. She didn't have a date.
I think that was last year, but Mr. Jones, in other words, he told me what to do instead of telling her that's not That's not how we act.
Okay, so she says at the January 5th meeting, Chad was going over the meeting agenda, which I think is what you're
That's
showing me
this,
there.
yes.
Ava Burkett yelled out that some people need to be told about the parking again. Then Jean said, especially her, looking directly at me. Just telling you what she said.
I'm just trying to talk about something that didn't happen, really.
So it didn't happen?
Didn't happen.
Okay, then she says on January 13th, her truck was parked in the handicap parking spot beside the bus stop. The same place I always park and have been since last year. As soon as Ava Burkett arrived, she came around to my vehicle and took pictures of it.
Yeah.
She took
I did.
pictures of my tag as well.
Yeah, I took pictures of, well, I knew it was her vehicle, but because of where it was parked.
Why were you taking pictures of it?
I was just taking pictures to show them, hey, this is bus parking. This is bus parking.
Even though it was lined in blue?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't
yet.
lined in blue yet?
That wasn't
Okay.
until after the meeting.
All right.
That's
It's
why
not
they're standing out there with them.
lined in blue yet.
And that's why they were standing out there talking to her after that meeting.
All right, to show that she was parking there.
Yeah, but even then, if she'd have been parking straight, we would have still had enough room. We'd have been cramped in there, but it's
Okay.
not like, you know.
She said you also put your hands on her truck.
We have never touched a vehicle. Now, she's fixing to make me mad.
Don't.
I know. You're just a messenger.
Well, it's not that. It's like there's two sides to every story. You know, you can write whatever you want to, but the other person gets the opportunity to defend themselves. So that's what I'm wanting to know right now.
I
So you say you
understand
never
that.
touched her truck.
But you can't defend yourself from lies. I mean, stuff that didn't happen, other than to say it didn't happen.
Okay, I already told you that part. She also says, oh, I already told you that the government needs to cut all of food stamps, and Donald Trump was going to do it to stop these blacks so they can get out and get a job.
Where in the world does she get this stuff? You know, people in the shop don't even talk like, you know, we don't.
She said that you said to Jean Montel in front of me that her black ass has no business being there. And Jean said, I agree. I think I already talked about that.
Yeah, you said that already.
That's a parking space. Okay. We already talked about that. All right, let's see what's in this. That's Tony. Okay, so this is what you were talking about, where she said that y'all were having a professional development meeting and that Ava yelled out that she was entitled. Mm-hmm. And I said,
I just
entitled, and Chad said, that's enough.
Well, he hushed. Everybody kind of gasped because, I mean, that was...
So tell me what happened again there.
That was just blatant insubordination.
All right, so tell me what happened again.
Well, he was going over this part.
Okay. Chad was reviewing the agenda.
He was going over the parking. And he really, when he got to the parking designated areas at each shop, she said, I'm going to park where I'm parking as long as I work here, or something to that effect. And I said, entitled? You know, kind of. And it was like, I said it loud, I'm sure. But I had already asked him to resolve this by asking her to park back over there by the fence, where I don't remember seeing her park by the fence. I was told she used to park by the fence. Maybe that's it, because I can't recall seeing it. And I don't recall when she started parking where we parked.
Okay, so when she says, I'm going to park wherever I want to as long as I work here, you said entitled, and
Yeah.
she said what? I'm entitled?
Yes, I think she said yes, entitled, or I'm entitled, or yes, I'm entitled. I don't know. Whatever she said got everybody's attention, and they thought, you know, and if Chad had been on the ball, he would have said, "Hey, I need to talk to you after this meeting," because that, you know, that's as good as saying, "I don't care what you say." But now I don't know who give him these.
Okay, so then she said Chris Worth, I'm assuming he's another bus driver?
Yeah.
Okay, he said, "You're not supposed to park by the concrete block." I said that I park there and I'm gonna continue to park there as long as I work for the bus shop. And then she said,
Yeah.
that's when Ava Burkett said, "Because you're entitled." I was not talking to her at all. Her and Jean Montel made fun by laughing and making snide comments the entire time at the meeting.
No, we did not. Now, when Jason, the mechanic, he turned around. He wasn't necessarily talking to us. He just kind of turned around and said, "Y'all being paid to be snitches?" And that's not appropriate either. But you know what? Now, I'm going to tell you this, and I promise you this. This year, after the year we had last year, I don't see nothing anybody does unless it's endangering a child. And I'll report that. But I don't care how many stop signs they run. I don't care how many traffic lights they run through. I don't care how many times they don't do the railroad crossing procedure. They ain't gonna get. I'm not gonna tell it. I might see it, but I ain't gonna tell it. And it shouldn't be that way.
Did you and Jean ever block her car in and like
I'm sure we
block the
did.
car in?
I'm sure we did. If we were both at the shop at the same time, because that area there, like I said, there was room for a short bus behind, short bus in front, and usually depending on where she parked. So yeah, she probably felt like we locked her in.
Okay.
Because we parked there. We did park there. And her car was in between us. I guess it was a car. It might have been a truck.
So, you feel like there never would have been handicap parking spots until this parking situation came up, and now that there's handicap parking. Is that a fair?
Yeah. And I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if it's something they should
have been there, so
Yeah,
I'm
it
glad
should
that they're
have-
there now, because they're definitely needed everywhere.
And that's not our issue. Our issue is, well, where are we going to park now? And we waited. I think we waited a sufficient time for them to address that, and that it's like, never mind. And every time we would pull up in the alternative over there in that area you drew, she'd go in there and fuss. She'd complain about us parking because that's where she parks her bus. So,
All right, you also, and we'll go back to the actual agreements to kind of got
yes,
sidebarred
okay.
there. All right, we talked about the entitled piece. Okay, you say Janice was heard in Mr. McMurphy's office threatening Jean Montel with bodily harm when Jean
No, I
requested
didn't
a
hear
meeting in
that.
a
I didn't hear
service.
that.
Okay.
I was told that. I did not hear it, and I can't say verbatim what was said. I just know that I can say this for that wasn't Jean. I don't think Jean heard it either because we had to get on the bus. But anyway, anytime somebody goes in there, if they don't shut that, even if they shut the door and talking loud, you can hear every word they say.
Like every office building in this district.
Yeah. I did not hear that though.
Okay, so I'll have to talk to Jean about that.
Yeah.
All right. Failure to act. What is this? By refusing to review camera footage. Okay. Well, you do know. I just want to say, in the big picture, I can't show you any camera footage unless you specifically are in that video, and it's the same with students, anybody, just an FYI, because
I never thought that you could video anybody without them knowing it. But now somebody told me,
you're not supposed to.
not supposed to, but somebody told me as long as it's in a public place, that's like public domain.
That's true.
And but
If you're
now,
out of Walmart or whatever.
yeah, but in our setting, you got to have their permission. And listen, I was taking pictures. I didn't even know she was over there.
What were
She
you
is not
taking the
my
pictures
problem.
for, though? Like, what is the purpose of the pictures?
I took the pictures to show them that they
Who's
had.
them?
Probably just to have them, but to have proof that they had taken where we normally park, because I took a before and after picture, and they
Who were you going to show them to prove that, though?
I was just holding. I just took them.
You keep referring to they. I took them to show them or show they. Who?
Okay, if they ask, if I was ever asked, what did this look like before they put the handicap there?
And who do you think would have asked you that?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is that are those pictures part of your EEOC complaint? No? Okay.
No, they
that's different.
they might become part of it, because
Right.
I think isn't that still pending or something? We haven't heard any resolution on that, but anyway.
I'm not privy on that one, thankfully.
Bless your heart. At least you ain't got that running around your head.
All right. So what parking looked like before?
Um,
Okay, I'm just gonna be
Yeah.
devil's advocate here. Okay?
That's why I took them, because this was where we were parking, and now they've done the handicap, which was fine. We didn't have a problem with that if they said, listen, we're gonna park all the handicap buses over here, or the buses that have to be left at the shop, we're gonna park them over here out of the way. But then, if they done that, they would have to tell Clint, and Clint did move. So somebody put a bug in his ear.
Where did he move to?
He moved over there
part?
to closer to the bus line. So I'm saying that somebody probably made some comment that gave him a heads up that you fix to have to move your bus. But hey, that's fine. That's whoever deals.
But I was going to ask you, like, okay, if the roles were reversed, just think big picture with me for a minute. If somebody came out and started taking pictures of your car and where you were parked, how would you feel?
To be honest with you,
Wouldn't you be like, what are you doing?
no. To be honest with you, I am not that curious. Maybe I should be, but I would probably say, no, y'all don't take pictures of those dents over there. I did that with trying to help my daughter, something like that. That would be my comment. They could take all the pictures they wanted to and just get my good side if you're going to take a picture of me.
Okay.
But, I would not be... I would wonder probably, to be honest with you, I'd say.
What are you doing?
But as long as they weren't planning to steal it or planning to tell somebody about it. But
Okay.
Honestly, I didn't even know she was over there. I was just taking pictures of they had put a handicap. Basically, I was getting the picture of the area that they had, and they went all end to end.
Yeah.
And then I took a picture of her car, because I'm trying to keep my personal feelings out of this statement. I took a picture of her car because it was kind of parked catty-corner. And this was funny. Gina and I laughed about this because it's parked catty-corner. It's parked catty-corner because she can't open her door. Parked there.
Why?
Because of the wall. There's a wall there.
Yeah, but you would have to go in.
She don't pull
That
in.
wall's right here, right?
Uh-huh.
So you would have to, if she came in right here and went straight into the parking place, then her door would open out this
Now,
way.
if she goes into
But if
that,
she goes that way, then
if she goes further, she'll park straight in. Because, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this?
make me nervous.
There's sand right here at the front part of that parking area. So she whoops around and pulls back in this way, so that when she gets out of her car, she's on pavement. When she gets in her car, she's on pavement. But
Which means she has to park.
she has to kind of park a little bit out of the line so that she can open her door. But that's silly, that's frivolous. But we figured it out. And that's why she don't want to park on that grass. That's why she don't want to park in the employee parking lot. It's because it's basically red dirt sand. I don't know why they don't pave that parking lot.
I think they're going to eventually, but it's money.
Yeah, I understand that. But that would help a lot of people, especially when it's raining. It's so messy out there.
Okay. All right. The next part is financial and operational. Field trip rotation.
Oh, that has become a circus.
Okay.
And two, I mean, I've taken some trips, but it has been because they didn't have enough people to drive the buses, or their first choice turned them down, and that's just fact, I guess you might say.
All right, trying to see what.
It's rough to take a trip to Montgomery on a school night and not get back to 12:30, almost 1, and then have to get up at 5 o'clock to go to work. That's rough.
Okay, so I'm assuming this piece right here is in your EEOC.
What is that?
Your equal opportunity suit. It says, despite our filing the EEOC charges of discrimination, of gender discrimination and retaliation, and citing this specific issue, the problem remains.
Yeah, it has, and they keep, every time it's convenient.
So I've been told that they have a trip rotation. Did they explain that to you?
Oh yes, they explain it, and we signed a paper of what trips we were willing to take. But it's only convenient when they want it, and I'll tell you how we figured that out.
All right, so hang on, let me write my notes. So y'all were told about the rotations, and you had to sign.
We signed a sheet filling out of the trips we were willing to take.
Okay, indicates trips they were willing to take. All bus drivers did that?
The ones that want to take trips, not everybody does it. Some of them don't want, and some of them I think have even took their names off of that.
Okay. All right. So how? What were you about to tell me?
I'm just fixing to tell you, because we have contact with people who know the coaches, some parents and stuff. They ask us about different trips, and if we're going to be driving, or so and so is not going to be on the bus because they're going on a trip, and we find out stuff.
Right.
Well, a lot of times we are given schedules, which is it's there for anybody if they want to take time to find them and print them out. But these all, I'm sure by common sense will tell you, if you take a 15-hour trip as compared to 7 to 7.5-hour trip, even though you're getting paid the same amount of money per hour, the longer you stay there, the more money you're going to make. So some of those trips can pay upwards of $300.
Right.
And, we wouldn't have signed up for trips if we didn't need them. And I'm going to be honest with you, I could use all I can get right now.
So are you saying that y'all get trips, but you don't get the opportunity for the longer trips that
We're not asked first.
ask for
But
to
now-
make more money.
But now, if these people that want to take these Friday night trips and Saturday all day trips, they get asked even for all of them. They get their choice. And this sounds so silly, and I feel silly sometimes even mention it, but that's not how you do rotation.
Right.
And so, because these people have turned down all the trips, basically, and that's where the favorites come in. That frog just won't go away. Anyway, at the last minute, they'll come to us, Jean and I usually, and sometimes Tony, she don't, that's how we got friends with Tony. Tony took trips with us, and I like Tony. Anyway, they don't ask her so much because she's told them she didn't want them. But anyway, they come to Jean and I at the last minute. We had a little heads up on that one to Montgomery. That was on Tuesday night. One of the coaches said, asked if we were going to be driving the team Thursday night. And of course we said, no, we can't tell you that we are. We have to be assigned, and we don't know who's going to be driving. So we turned our paperwork into Chad. We mentioned it to Chad that the coach had said there's another trip now Thursday, and it had become knowledge that everybody else didn't want the middle of the week trips. And he said, well, I have to check the rotation list. Oh, okay. He said, but I don't believe that trip's on Thursday, and I believe it's on Friday. So see, he got with whoever that person they'd always reserve a trip for, because he'll quit if they make him mad. You might just need to know that. But
Who was
anyway, David Respers. But anyway, Friday afternoon, there was a trip to Jackson. This is the one he said it's not on Thursday night, it's on Friday night. Well, by that time, we had found out that there was also a wrestling trip, all-day trip. I believe they were going to Montgomery or Birmingham.
I think it's Montgomery County High.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that we figured it out. Why he give that to us at 2:00 in the afternoon to take a trip to Jackson that night.
So are your rotations hung up on a board, or does
Nope.
trips come up?
They
and
used to
stuff?
be when Louise was over there. That's why we are so upset about them not doing everything they can. Even if it's a little bit here, a little bit there, work towards getting her back over there. Every month I have had to go, and I've learned to make copies of everything.
I always do that. Yeah.
Every month. Well, I wasn't doing that because I didn't have to with Louise. She knew where stuff was. But she's not getting it now, all of it.
How do y'all send it to her?
We turn it into Chad, but we've learned to go in there and make copies and then hand it to her. Because I've got 3 sets of paperwork I have to turn in. And the first time they lost them, I told Billy, I said, Billy, you just out of luck because I don't make a copy of that. He said, well, I sure need it.
Well, I don't see a solution for getting Betty, is that her name? No, Louise. Where did I get Betty from? Louise back over there in the near future. Now, I did speak with Louise on the phone and did explain to her that grievance was made on part of her behalf, and I'll just tell you, if she has to grieve, if she wants to grieve, she'll have to do this process herself.
Well, no, we're not complaining about Louise, because she is.
No, she's. I know what you're saying.
She was the most organized person besides.
But I think that in the future, like you said, I mean, no, you shouldn't have to make copies of everything, but I don't feel like I should have to make copies of everything either, but I do.
We do.
Because now it all comes down to the documentation in this world anymore.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
However, are your procedures that you turn in your stuff to Chad and Chad gets it to Louise, or is it something that y'all can drop it straight in the courier and it goes over to her?
Well, she got boxes. She had boxes outside that was labeled, you know, for whatever. But we go in there now. We go in there, and the first thing we do is start making copies of everything. Some of it is not necessary to make copies because if they lose it, it don't matter.
Right.
But we make sure that we've got those copies back in our hands, and then we turn our paperwork over to Chad.
How frequently is the paperwork not getting
Once
to
a
her?
month. How frequently?
Is it not getting to her?
Every month. There's some
missing every
mine's
month?
missing.
Okay.
And then in November, when I turned in November's paperwork, somehow my extra pay for my early release sheet was misplaced, and I didn't get paid for it. And of course, we've been told we have that month to report it, or we don't get paid for it. So I immediately, it was through the holidays, but I immediately emailed Veronica, and when I could, I let Louise know, and that with it being a short month, it was only $150. I don't want. That's not frivolous.
150.
But anyway, she came back on the 5th, and Veronica told me to get with Louise. And when I went up there to see Louise, we went through. She didn't have it anywhere. She couldn't find it anywhere. Well, she got her paperwork that she sent to Bruton. She started flipping through it like this. And in the middle of all that November paperwork, I said, "There's early release, Louise." It was October, stuck in with November's paperwork, and by mistake, they should have paid me again for that, but they didn't, which is fine because I can't afford to pay back anything. But that's where we found it. She never did find my copy that was sent to her. I carried my copy to her for her to make a copy and a correction.
It just sounds like the procedural things need to be reviewed and adjusted.
It needs to be consistent. It needs to be the same thing every time. This is what we do. But it goes back to training. There are so many. We got another driver. He's so sweet. He'll say, "Of all the people around me, since I've been working here," he talking about me and Jean, "you two have helped me more than anybody since I've been hired on." He said, "Now, they taught me how to drive this bus, how to do the bus." He said, "But that's as far as they went with it."
Right.
And he had back paperwork. He had stuff that hadn't been, but we got.
Well, you talk about safety training on here, and I did speak with Miss Barnett about this because this would come through the SPED department.
Yeah, I figured that she would probably know.
Okay, so here's what, when I spoke to her about the training, and so she said that Mr. Jones and I think Chad did reach out to try to get training, but what happens is y'all are wanting restraint training, right?
We want to know how.
Running.
Yeah, I got a kid. Well, a couple of times now, I have had to drive the bus with that kid's, like this is the seat. Mm-hmm. He'll get in the corner and stand up. He comes out of his seatbelt. We even tried to put a seatbelt thing on. Right. None of them fit the seatbelt. He'd get out of the seatbelt and he'd stand right there in that corner with his little hands up there looking at. And I'd say, "You got to sit down now so we can go." "No." I said, "You have to sit down so we can go." He wouldn't. And I couldn't put him in the seat. I couldn't make him sit down because I can't put my hand. Now, I can suggest. And sometimes, he'll do it. But it wasn't until I pulled up at the police station that he actually sat down and put his seatbelt on. Because I told him, I said, "I'm not supposed to be driving like this." I had to drive 20 miles an hour down the road. And don't you know that if anybody come up behind me, wasn't happy with that?
What's this driver doing?
Yeah.
Okay, she told me that there was there's not a actual like restraint training. Like in other words, when you're on a bus, let me back up, because the restraint training, there are certain procedures that have to happen in ways when you do have to physically put your hands on a kid. I just know this because I've been through the training.
Yeah.
That you would not be able to do on that bus. You're not going to have the room for it.
Well,
so she said that instead of doing the restraint training, she asked for the behavior specialist for the district to come and do some de-escalation training with you guys, but that it ended up having to cancel because of, I guess, the misconduct of the participants. I don't know what happened. She didn't tell me specifically what happened.
Well, now Jean did go to a meeting. She had a little boy on her bus that she couldn't do anything with. Well, I take that back.
Jean drive a special ed bus too, right? They both do.
Both of us do. And Melvin, he's our other one. But see that
Melvin's still working. I thought he retired.
he's going to this year, I think.
Didn't he already retire one time? I saw him at Gather one time. And
No,
told me
he
he changed his mind.
he didn't have enough time in. He needed to put in a little bit more time. And
I like Melvin.
but I won't repeat what he said. But anyway, he's planning to go out. But that lady that had that meeting, she was a behavioral specialist, I think, and there was a bunch of people in there. There was teachers, and I think Mr. Jones went, and I don't know if Chad did or not, but Mr. Knight, the principal, there was several people in there, and she told them, none of y'all are trained to put your hands on any of these kids. I mean, she just flat told him, you ain't got no hope here. If he wants to run, you just let him run. You can't block him. You can close the door, but you can't stand in the door and not let him out. If they're wanting to leave the room, you can't block them. I mean, she told him all kinds of scary stuff. And she said,
behavior specialist said that you cannot block a kid if they want to get off the bus.
If they want to get off the bus, or if they want to get out of a room, you cannot block them. So, that kind of put a scare in us, because I also had another one, and he was strong as an ox. But he took off running. One day got completely away from the teacher. And I thought, well, now I took out running after him. I stopped, and I said, that ain't what I need to do. So I turned around and told him to chase me. And that's how I got that kid to run away from the street.
So is this the field trip out in Uri?
Oh, no, that was another hilarious situation. That little kid was like a rabbit. But
I feel your pain, because as a principal, I've dealt with some students that literally it was 6 of us, and he was running outside of the school, and we had to form this big circle and just kind of gradually
grab him,
bring it back in, so where we could get him, but.
Well, that little girl, she had other things, but we knew we couldn't catch her, so we didn't. That lady that did, I think she's an 8 or something. But then that man came up and said, "You can't do that."
Lord have mercy. All right, Jean, what do you think would be the solution to all of this?
I'm Ida.
Not Jean. Abba. I'm sorry, I was just looking at Jean on this paper record.
You're going to need a break from all this.
I gotta go to Rachel Patterson. I gotta be there in 15 minutes. So I want to just give you the opportunity to what.
I've thought about all this, and it has gotten so out of hand. I don't even know if there is a start over point.
Well, I do believe that part of the solution, if we're going to call it a solution, is figure out the parking situation.
As long as if they want to put us back over there where it was diagnosed, again, I want to reiterate to you, it's not where Janice is parking, is that they took where we were parking. And when we parked over here, as an alternative to it, she went in there and complained about it. So, you know, it left us.
Even though she was still parking over here and y'all started parking over here, she complained about y'all parking over there.
And so, you know, but it's like I tell Jean, Janice is not our problem. We need to know where we can park when we have to go inside the building. And we're out of the way. We are not in anybody's way. But it just never happened. They didn't place any importance in that. They were all too busy.
Okay, but that is a major issue that we need to figure that out.
Well, it's like I say, we don't do that every day, but mainly on Fridays.
Okay, and we also need to clarify and define the procedures for the paperwork.
Yes, that definitely needs. Definitely needs a routine that we do every time we do it.
Okay. And then.
And the trips need to be posted. They need to be posted like Louise used to keep. And I realize that we keep saying like Louise was just a godsend when we got her. Because she kept everything so in order, organized. You could go in there and ask for something, she could turn around and put her hands on it. She kept a calendar that was up on the wall, and it had the trips. And whether they were using rotation or not, I don't remember that because I really couldn't take that many then. But she would say, "This is what we got." And we would either say, "Well, I'd like that one," or "Is that how I'd like?" She had it up, and she wasn't keeping it a big secret.
Right. Everybody saw what trips were available. So did that give you the option to say, "Jean, can I trade trips with you?" Or you know, like that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and stuff like that we used to do if one of us couldn't do it. Of course, we cleared it with whoever. The supervisor, we let them know that the person they assigned the trip to wasn't really going to be the one on the bus. We had to clear it. It wasn't just something we could do because we wanted to do it.
Did you have any other documents you wanted to give me?
I think that was it. The programs that they have, I saw that text that you were going to get a link. That link,
Your front line?
Yes, that was okay. One of them. I almost started crying.
No,
I got so confused.
Don't do this. Don't let that happen because I'm actually, matter of fact, right here, I got myself a note to set up these trainings. I'm going to do one
that's
in
wonderful.
Atmore, one in Flemington, and one in
That is wonderful
for the bus drivers.
That's what you needed.
And I'm bringing tech in with me so that if y'all have any problems getting on your email or whatever, because we initially have to go onto your email account and access it there. But then I'm also going to show you how to download that app on your phone. I
don't know if I know
y'all may not need it as much like a regular substitute would, but it is something that I'm going to come and do training, and I want to talk about the code of ethics for everybody. Cause
everybody.
I don't think, we just need to back up, regroup, because nobody should be miserable coming to work every day. Nobody should have to fill their brain with all of this stuff that's going on. Like you said, you should come to work, deal with your kids, get them to school safely, go home, do whatever you do, come back, same thing.
That should be our daily routine.
Yes.
And it is most of the time. But
it has got to stop, and we got to figure out how to. I don't want to lose that. We got to figure out how to make that happen.
I don't know why Janice thinks we have a problem with her. We don't have a problem with her. We just don't interact with her, and really at this point have no intentions of it because of past experience. I'll just put it like that. But now that most of that stuff in there is just out lies.
Well, that's why
it just didn't happen.
We have the opportunity to talk about it.
That's why one reason why I couldn't figure out why. Because when we sent our grievance in, it was after y'all had set up the appointment.
Everybody sent in an agreement.
And then it dawned on us, well, they're not going to be talking about us, so who has filed a grievance that they need us there? I mean, it was a total